In today's video, we're going to be taking a light-hearted view on how we sometimes set ourselves up for failure, like buying junk food and putting it in the home when we know that we're on a diet, or procrastinating when we have an important task to do. We are all capable of self-sabotage, am I right? But hopefully we will also discover how we can turn those failures into successes. So if you're interested in this and if you want to know more, then you know what to do. And that is, don't go anywhere. Now we have our kids and we love them and we think that they are capable of doing anything and they are wonderful at everything, and everything they do and everything that they touch, they are going to be absolutely amazing. Well, the truth is, that's not really the case. Maybe it's our hope, maybe it's our desire that they are. How many of us send our sons to train at football 2 or 3 times a week when we know full well that our son doesn't have a sporty bone in his body? Or we send our daughter to ballet classes when you know that child ain't graceful, you know that child can't dance, but we do it anyway, and we set ourselves up for disappointment and failure, and also the child, if I'm honest. I'm a musician, so it was my dream that my daughter should be musical. I really hoped that she would be. And when she was younger, she showed a little bit of interest in music. She used to follow me around when I used to record and things like that. So I bought my daughter an electronic drum kit. And it was pretty fancy, it was pretty cool too. I'm crazy, I know, I'm crazy. And I set it up in her room and she was happy with it. She had one lesson. And she played it 2 times if I'm lucky. And that was it. No interest whatsoever. Then I thought, okay, well, I play the keyboards. So let me teach her, introduce her to the instrument. And she can get a teacher further on down the line. Well, it was fun at first. Then after a while, nope. No interest whatsoever. She just didn't want to do music. She just didn't want to learn an instrument, didn't want to learn to play anything. And I was disappointed, I'm not going to lie. I was, but she's her own person. And so I left her to decide what she wanted to do. The second thing is, one thing that I love is books. From I was a little girl, and as soon as I learned to read, I filled my room with books. I've always had lots of books. Unfortunately now, I just don't have the time to read, and it's a shame. But I still have my books, and it's hard for me to throw them away. I really hoped that it was something that my daughter would love too. She'd be passionate about reading. No, not at all. She likes manga, those Japanese books and cartoony things. I don't know. I'm not into it. I'm not interested in it. But she loves those and she will read those all day, every day. But a book? No, they're not friends. So, sometimes we just have to accept our kids for what they are and not push things onto them, because we will set them up for failure and set ourselves up for disappointment. So yes, whatever hopes and dreams we may have for our kids, if they're not feeling it, we just have to let it go. So you're shopping for the family, and you don't want to deprive your family of things that they like just because you might not be eating them, right? So you buy the cookies and the cakes and the sodas and the juices and all little snacks and treats that you know that they like. And then you bring it home and you pack them away in the cupboard. And then you go to the fridge and you take out a celery stick and a carrot. Who are you trying to kid? You know full well that you don't want that celery stick and no carrots. Not when there's cakes and cookies and all manners of goodies in the cupboard. And try as you might, you want to be good. You try to be good, you really do. You want to be good because you want to lose the weight this time. So you try to hold out. Your family goes to bed and you're there, the last one to lock up at night. And you're just about to go to bed even though you have like a little bit of a pang. And then you hear your name being called. Mary, Vanessa, Angie. And it's the cake in the cupboards calling you by name. And you try to resist as much as you can until you can't take any more. And you think, what the hell? And you go and you open the packet and you eat it. You're setting yourself up to fail. Don't buy that stuff. Don't buy cakes and potato chips and all that kind of stuff. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Because it's not going to end well. And we know it's not going to end well. And sometimes we say, you know what? I'm just going to finish off what's in the cupboard because I don't want my money to be thrown away like that. But you know you're going to buy it again. So you know what? Don't set yourself up for failure. If your family wants to eat those things, they can eat it on the way home. They can go out and buy their stuff on their own. They don't have to eat it in the house when you are trying your best to be good. So leave the cakes and the cookies in the shops. And don't set yourself up for failure. Now you don't have a lot of time in your day, yet you sign up for a gym membership because it sounds good, right? It sounds good that you have a gym membership. And also because everybody else has one and everybody else is going and doing it. So you think, well, why shouldn't I have one too? But the thing is though, you don't have a structured workout routine. You don't know what you're doing. And the worst thing is, you're not really committed, but yet you want and you expect to get fit. How do you really expect to get fit when you're not working out properly, you're not following any routines, you're not doing it on a regular basis, you go to the gym once in every blue moon? How do you expect to get fit? Seriously? It takes willpower and commitment to get into shape, to get fit. Not working out every once in a while. So if you're not committed, it's not going to work. So don't throw your money away by buying an expensive gym membership if you know that you can't keep it up, if you know that you're not going to go because one, you don't want to, and two, because you don't have the time. Don't do it. If you really want to try doing like a home workout first and see how that goes and see if you're able to keep that up. That's free. You don't have to spend any money on that. And if you see that you're dedicated and you're keeping it up and you're committed, then you can think about buying a gym membership. But don't just throw your money away like that, because then you won't see results and you're just setting yourself up for failure. I remember years ago, one of my musicians came up to me and he said, Angie, can I talk to you for a second? And I said, yes, of course. And he said, you know what? You're on television now. It doesn't look good, the fact that you're driving a Fiat Panda. Now, I don't know if you all know what a Fiat Panda is, but it's a really small Italian car. And it was back in the day, it was one of the most economical ones. And I used to go to the TV station in it. My nice little red Panda. I have a thing for red. I got married in red. My Panda was red. I love red. And he told me that it didn't look good for a singer of my status to be going to gigs, should be rocking up to a gig where the public could see me in my cheap and economical Fiat Panda. I said, you know what? If someone is going to judge me by the car that I drive, it says more about them than it does about me. You see, I'm not going to set myself up for failure. I don't want to be driving some big, expensive, fancy car that I've had to really struggle to pay for every month. And that way, I'm living way above my means. I can't live the life that I want to live because I'm so pressed and I'm so bogged down with the monthly payments for a car that I'm using just to show off and to show people that I'm an important singer. And I can't do all of that. My little Fiat Panda suited me just fine. It got me where I wanted to go every single time. It never let me down, not once. It didn't cost a lot of money to run. And I say this to say that if we don't want to set ourselves up for failure, if we don't want to live in anguish and where we think we're drowning every month because we're living above our means, that doesn't work for me. That's not who I am. So, like I said, if they want to judge you by the house that you have, by the car that you have, by the clothes that you wear, that says more about them than it says about you. Now you meet a guy, and as soon as you set eyes on this person, all the red flags in the world start going left to right. Red flag, red flag, red flag. You know it, you sense it, you see it, you feel it in your gut. But the man is fine. Yeah, he's cute. So you decide to ignore everything. And of course, a few weeks down the line, things don't work out and you're disappointed and you're hurt. Don't set yourself up for failure. Don't ignore the red flags. You knew it wasn't going to work out. You knew it wasn't the person for you. But you decided to go there anyway. And you just set yourself up for failure and disappointment. Don't do that. Follow your gut always. I will always tell you, when it comes to relationships, follow your gut always. It will never lead you wrong. And even if you are mistaken, it is better to be safe than sorry or disappointed. Now you're noticing that in your workplace, there is a turnover of more younger and younger people. And you're beginning to feel a little bit out of place because you're older. And you're beginning to feel a little bit invisible and a little bit ignored. And it hurts you. It hurts you and it worries you with all these new people coming in that you're going to be put aside. So you start overcompensating and you say yes to everything that they throw your way. You say yes. No is no longer in your vocabulary. I get it, but with such an unrealistic work schedule, you are setting yourself up for failure. Because with so much on your plate, can you really do your best, give your best, and give quality? So don't agree to unrealistic work deadlines. Don't agree to unrealistic workloads, because you'll just be setting yourself up for failure. Do not overcommit, because then you will be overwhelmed. You'll be stressed out. You'll be worried, you'll be scared, you'll be disappointed, and the chances are you will not deliver your best quality work. Now, procrastination is one of those things that can set you up for failure like nothing else on this planet. And I'm guilty of this. Especially when it's something that I really don't want to do, I really don't want to face. I know that I should, but I can't deal with it now. I'll think about it tomorrow. I'll think about it next week. And in certain things, especially if there's a deadline and the deadline has come and gone, then that can open doors to other situations that aren't exactly the best. If you have to rush to catch up because you've waited too long and now you have no choice but to do what you have to do because you have to meet deadlines, then you risk a work that's subpar and again not of good quality because you have to rush. So I say this to you as I say this to myself. If you have to do something, especially something that's unpleasant or something that you don't want to do, it's best to do it first, and that way you can sigh a big sigh of relief because now it's out of the way. You want to be successful and you want all the trimmings that success can bring. You want all of that, but you have set vague goals without specific action steps. You don't know what you want. You have no time frame. You're not prepared to sacrifice for your success. You're not prepared to do anything. Well, if that's the case, how successful do you think you're going to be? To obtain success, you need commitment, hard work, sacrifice, a plan. You have to know what you want. You have to know where you're going. And if you don't have any of these things in place, then you're just setting yourself up for failure. Now, sometimes we get aches and pains and we're not quite sure why. We didn't do anything crazy. We didn't make any sudden movements. We didn't hurt ourselves or fall over or bang any part of our body. So why are we in pain? Sometimes we may even have a cough that lasts for 2 days, 3 days, a week, 2 weeks. Sometimes our body tells us things. Sometimes our body lets us know that something's not quite right. And what do? Nothing. Now, this is a failure that we really want to avoid. If we feel that something is not quite right, if we feel that something is wrong, we need to get medical advice. Go and see your doctor. Why wouldn't you want to? We want to be safe and we want to be healthy. So we don't need to be silly about this. Because if there is something wrong, maybe it can be caught in time and we'll be okay. So, whatever it is, if you feel that something is wrong, go see your doctor. Okay? Now, in this video, we're talking about failure. But sometimes we are going to fail, and that's a normal thing too. Failure happens, and failure can be a good stepping stone to help us towards success because it can teach us many things, and it can teach us certain things that we shouldn't do if we want to have success. So you failed, all right? You failed. And what do? You start blaming everybody. It's everybody else's fault, but not yours. You don't take any responsibility at all. And that is a sure way of setting yourself up for even more failure. Because instead of taking it on board and learning from it, you're ignoring it. It has nothing to do with you. If it has nothing to do with you, you're not going to learn anything from it. And that means that the chances are you will probably make the same mistakes in the future. So if you never learn from anything because nothing is your fault, you are definitely setting yourself up for failure. You hate your job. You hate everything about it. Every morning when you wake up and you get dressed, just the thought of going into work makes you get a stomachache, makes you have a headache. Everything's wrong. You hate the building that you work in. You hate your colleagues. and not to mention how much you hate your boss. Yet despite of all of that, you have no intention of leaving there because you're comfortable there. Because although you hate it, it's something that you know. And yes, you probably had offers to go other places, but you refuse because you'd rather be unhappy than take a risk. You're afraid of taking a chance. You're afraid of trying something new. So you would rather be unhappy instead of pursuing opportunities that align with your passions. Don't be afraid of new things. Don't be afraid of new adventures. If you're not happy, we only have one life and we need to be happy in life. And if you're not happy where you are, if you're not happy in what you're doing, try something new. Now, I know that it's not easy, especially as the older we get. We can't just change from one place to the other because it's not easy. And a lot of people aren't hiring older people. I get that. But if you have the opportunity, don't let fear get in the way, because fear is a sure way of setting you up for sadness, disappointment, and failure. Now, we've all done this, I'm sure. And that is that we go on social media and we see one of our friends or we see somebody and they seem to be living the life. Their kids seem wonderful, and you start looking at your kids and you start giving them the bad eye. And then their husband seems absolutely marvelous. He's there working in the garden. He's painting the house. He's doing all these wonderful things. And you look at your husband who's just sitting around the table and drinking a beer, and you give them the evil eye. And you think, how come everybody else's family is so wonderful and mine is so rubbish? Those pictures that we see on social media, they are just snapshots, but they're not the whole picture. Of course, we're going to put things up online that puts us in the best light possible. The same husband that seems so wonderful, who was there putting up the kitchen and painting the house and doing the garden work, he seemed wonderful. But they're not going to tell you that he came home at 4 o'clock in the morning and they don't know where he was or who he was with. They're not going to tell you that. And they're not going to tell you that been questioning him and he's not saying jack. Of course they're not going to tell you all of that. They're not going to tell you that the same kids that seem so wonderful and seem so studious, they're not going to tell you that they were picked up the other night by the police because they were doing things that they shouldn't be doing. So whatever you see online, take it with a pinch of salt, because chances are it's not real. It's just smoke and mirrors. So don't feel bad because you're not living the life that they seem to be living, because if you do that, then you're just setting yourself up for failure. So there you have it. What do you think? Have you been setting yourself up for failure, or are you good? I know you're good. Anyway, thank you so much for keeping me company. And I hope to see you soon. But until then, be kind to yourself and to others. And if in the meantime you want to see more of my videos, then feel free to watch any of these. Ciao.